Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the November 21st, 2025 Student and Academic Affairs Committee meeting for the Tennessee State University Board of Trustees. The meeting is now called to order and the time is 9:03 a.m. Central Time. At this time, we need to call the roll. Board Secretary Brown, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Norfleet,
Present.
Trustee Smith,
Present.
Trustee Young Sigler,
Present.
Trustee Bruce is present. We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. Today, we have received committee reports from the Student Affairs as well as Enrollment Management and the Office of Academic Affairs. And the committees will report on the SAC COC fifth year accreditation report status, retention and progression data and activities, graduation rate data and strategic plan, the fall 2025 graduation plan, as well as the college's fall 2025 achievements report. Is there a motion to adopt the meeting agenda as contained in the materials for the November 20th, 25 board meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the motion passes.
Thank you. All right, next the first item on the agenda is the approval of the September 18, 2025 Student and Academic Affairs Committee meeting. The Student and Academic Affairs Committee September 18, 2025 meeting minutes are included for your review in the materials. I move that the Student and Academic Affairs Committee to recommend to the full board the approval of the September 18, 2025 Student and Academic Affairs Committee meeting minutes as contained in the materials for the November 20th, 2025 committee meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the September 18, 2025 Student and Academic Affairs Committee meeting minutes as contained in the materials for the November 21st, 2025 committee meeting.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Motion passes.
The next item on the agenda is the Academic Affairs Report. Provost Melton is here and we will turn the floor over to her. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman, Trustees. On behalf of the Office of Academic Affairs, I have information items only. I would like to start off by sharing with you where we are in terms of our national accreditation, SAC COC, and Chairman Norfleet, if I may have permission to have Dr. Anderson to come.
She may come.
Yes, please. And trustees, she will give a brief overview regarding our SAC COC accreditation fifth year report, as well as our timeline and our submission date of 2026.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to bring it up.
Make sure your mic is on.
Okay,
Press the.
here, you got it. You got it.
Good morning. Okay. Good morning. Thank you for an opportunity to bring an update as to where the university is in its process as to the preparation and submission of the SAC COC fifth year interim report. So, as you know, Southern Association of Colleges, Schools, Commission on Colleges does require institutions who are member institutions submit decennial reports. We submitted our decennial report in 2021. Our next decennial report will be submitted in 2030. So the interim report is that fifth year report where we are peer reviewed. And let me also note the SAC COC is an institutional accreditor recognized by the U.S. Department of Education. That is important because students to receive Title IV financial aid purposes, it must be an institutional accredited institution recognized by the DOE. And really pleased to report our progress. We are ahead of our established timeline. We actually just completed our fourth draft, which was submitted to our external consultant, and we got that feedback back within, he turns around in about a week. We submitted October 14th. We received the feedback back on November 5th. Of the 22 standards, 17 of those were recognized as being in compliance per their professional judgment. So we only have 5 to address as to answer any questions, provide any additional documentation. Per our established timeline, we would turn that around to have pretty much a close to final version by December 1st, but I'm pleased to report that the SAC-COC's internal steering committee, which consists of faculty and staff from across the campus, we've completed that. And so we're going to submit to our consultant on next Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving, so everybody can enjoy the holiday break. What will happen after that point is in January, there are two standards that require some fall 2025 data, as well as our QEP to receive some data from UNIV 1000. So in January, all we should be doing is plugging in some more recent data from fall 2025. March 1st, we will submit into the portal, and then the SAC-COC fifth year review committee, they will review in April. And a response should turn around. It depends on findings, but per established processes, September or April, we have like 5 to 9 months to respond to any findings that they may have said or any additional information. And so we are really pleased where we're at right now.
Are there any questions related to the fifth-year report?
Thank you.
And on that note, we received information yesterday on behalf of our College of Education that they have also passed their accreditation and approval for teacher education. So I'm pleased to share with that. With that, I am now here to give you an update regarding our retention, progression, and graduation rate. As you know, those are our top 3 areas in terms of performance. We presented to you all a year and a half ago a strategic plan. I'm here to give you information, data, feedback, where we are and where we are going. And I'm sure trustees, today you should be, will be pleased with the progress. With that, again, from our spring information of total of 5,500, give or take some students, we had over 2,754 on our dean's list. This is an honor if you compare our data from before. With that, I'm pleased to share with you all our progression rate. So let me share with you in terms of the benchmarks. When students come to TSU, we have 4 benchmarks: 30 credit hours, 60 credit hours, 90 credit hours, and 120 to hit that graduation mark. You will see from a 5 to 6 year that we have increased our progression rate, and you're looking at fall 2024 of 45%. So what does that mean? That means that fall of 2024, our first-time freshmen coming in had less than 15 credit hours, which then would put them behind in terms of meeting those benchmarks for graduation. Knowing that, we aggressively put in other measurements, such as an extreme winter term to get them for more credit hours, an extreme summer, Maymester, and summer school. But this is what we are pleased to share with you on behalf of Academic Affairs, our faculty and staff. This fall, for our first-time freshmen, we have a 78, really it's 79% progression, meaning that our first-time freshmen have 15 credit plus hours starting them out, which will then put them on the right road for graduation. This is the first time from where I sit for this to happen. And I need to commend the faculty, the staff, the advisors to make sure that we made these students aware to move through And to increase that graduation rate within the next 4 years, you have to start with the freshmen. And again, we're talking about a 78% increase. With that, you had asked Trustee Norfleet for a percentage breakdown in terms of probation, the number of students on probation. We have the total enrollment, students on probation, and the percentage. And again, trustees, you're looking at a decrease in the number of students on probation, which aligns with, again, the number of students that we are now able to retain and to move forward to increasing our graduation rate. Also, we have suspension. And if you would look at fall 2024, you will see a 0.9%. This is something that we need to celebrate, because if you look back at some of our numbers, we were as high as 7% of students on probation. And again, that's to our support services and our faculty and staff. In terms of graduation rate, I shared with you all a year and a half ago that our goal would be to increase our graduation rate by 5%. It's time to pay up. I have numbers for you. This fall, in 2 weeks, we are graduating 638 candidates. And we have reimagined graduation so it's more student-centered, more intimate, and to give them an opportunity to celebrate. So we reimagined where we have 3 ceremonies. We have one Friday, December the 5th at 9 o'clock, which will be the College of Business, the College of Engineering, the College of Life and Physical Sciences, and the College of Public Services. We have a total group of 158. That afternoon at 4 o'clock, we will have the College of Education and our graduate school, a total of 280. And on Saturday, we have the College of Ag, the College of Health Sciences, the College of Liberal Arts with 200. Again, a total of 638. Following our fall, spring 2026, and I want to bring this one to your attention. This was the cohort group of the 3,600 back in 2022. They are now ready to graduate. Our target, 523, I am pleased to share with you, we have data to show we have 1,686 that should graduate this spring 2026. With that, we will reimagine graduation. With this number, we will probably have a Thursday ceremony, Friday ceremony, and a Saturday, all in the Gentry Center. And again, this is something to celebrate because this will increase our graduation rate not by 5%, but 10%. With that, we have new areas, and Dr. Eric Stokes will also highlight this in terms of recruitment. We know that we have to move beyond our traditional, so we have 3 new categories: dual enrollment and dual credit, adult learners, as well as our online global. And now, our academic progress. In your board materials, every college, every academic unit provided a 1-page accomplishment update. However, I would like to highlight, especially since we are public, some of our outstanding programs and what's going on in terms of academic excellence. Again, Tennessee State University, 3 years in a row, Billboard's top music business school. Also, on behalf of our honors program, Tennessee State University reclaims championship at the National HBCU Conference. And of course, excuse me, our artificial intelligence is recognized worldwide. However, Tennessee State University is the first university to step forward to provide training to our college parents. We received a call from our TSU parent group to say, hey, we want to make sure we understand artificial intelligence. We're afraid of it. We don't want our students going into an area where they might be, quote unquote, accused of cheating or whatever. I want you to know November, last Sunday, we provided that training to our parents, and they are engaged, empowered, as well as all of our freshmen had to attend how to use artificial intelligence legally, ethically, as well as our faculty, our staff, and we offer around the clock. Please know, because of these efforts, Tennessee State University was selected to host March 24th and 25th the National Center for Digital AI Academy, which will be here at Tennessee State. Trustees, this is big. This is something to celebrate because people from all over the world will come, and all of our colleges, our faculty will be highlighted. Moving on with that, of course, let's give recognition to our future doctors in terms of our Dr. Levi Watkins and that group. Congratulations with the new cohort. And again, I see Dr. Reddy is in the audience. We always would like to share and celebrate the new $90 million buildings going up, which will include new programs, new concentration, and we were able to offer with our College of Engineering, we had a major celebration with Cummings. And with Dean Lee, they were able to come and give us a full engine. Now, I'm not into engineering, but I was over there. It's huge. It's supposed to be one of the top-ranked physical engines that will do so much. But again, this is to share with you all of the partnerships coming in with Tennessee State University, from career as well as our engineering building coming soon of $6 million. And now, on behalf of a partnership with Tennessee State University and the Bank of America, I would like to share with you what is happening, okay?
We were so thrilled when we got the call from Dr. Smith asking if we'd be interested to help on the curriculum and academic side of TSU students and learning about hockey. So we jumped in and wanted to give them the best of Smashville.
Played hockey my entire life, so this sport is kind of near and dear to my heart.
This is a national model where we take our students to a boot camp for 1 week and immerse them into their careers.
As well as our athletics program.
We want more of TSU students to know what we do in this building. We want to open their eyes to our businesses.
This is with our national predators. We have a partnership with the Titans and soon to be the Grizzlies, where during the winter and the summer, they go and actually stay and work with them for a full week. And yes, the results are amazing. They have opened up internships and hopefully job opportunities.
Things were contagious and created a winning environment that I definitely learned a lot from.
If you guys ever want to just come on a game day and sit in our truck for the night?
I mean, that's the most valuable thing that you can get from this, networking and getting a job. I've been stressing this to Dr. Smith and everyone putting it together. We need to get some younger people up in here so they can see what they can do with their degree. I think going into school, we're told you can be a doctor, or this or that. And this experience definitely shows that you can do a lot more with your degree. Like the most important thing.
Amazing experience to meet with the students. Exciting to see them come in with such commitment and
again,
excitement about
Tennessee
their
State
future careers,
University
and share with them a lot of the
is
things that
the
we do
only
within
university
sports.
at this
And I was able
time
to
with
talk
this
to
type
them
of
as well about
partnership,
diversity, equity, and
curricular,
inclusion. So overall, it was an amazing
all the
day.
way to
I think it's a
careers.
win-win for everybody. It's a win-win for the Predators. It's a win for Tennessee State. It's a win for the students individually.
Get into the environment, it allows you to see it from a different lens. So I would definitely tell another student that came behind me that this is the opportunity that I wouldn't miss for nothing.
10 out of 10, recommend.
And again, on behalf of the Office of Academic Affairs, this concludes our informational item. But Trustee Norfleet, I would just like to share, on behalf of all of the faculty and staff, I personally would like to thank them. I would like to thank you as trustees for giving us the opportunities, even with all of the challenges. We are producing, we're looking at educational excellence here. We are excited about 2026 and what we're going to bring. Again, with our accreditation, our programs, we are ready. So for this Thanksgiving, I just want to say to you all, thank you. I'm excited for what Tennessee State can do. And again, life is good.
Thank you, Provost Milton. Are there any questions or comments?
The only comment I have is great job. I know accreditation is not easy, so the work that you guys do there, we commend you on it, and we love the energy of what's going on right now.
Well, thank you, because I'm energized. And you're going to see great things. I'm serious. I've been around, and I'm going to share some years, 55 years in higher ed. And to sit here today and look at the future and what Tennessee State can do, I have worked for the Tennessee Board of Regents. I've worked for UT. I can go on and on. This is the place. You're going to see some exciting things coming out of Tennessee. Okay.
Well, thank you to you as well as the faculty and the administration from Academic Affairs. We really appreciate the work.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a Student Affairs Report. We're going to call for Dr. Bridget Goldman, who will share with us at this time.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. Great. I'd like to have an opportunity to share with you what's going on in student affairs. I know that the report that you received in your board packet, you're hoping and praying that I don't walk through that whole 14-page or whatever it is, but no, I do have a presentation that kind of gives you the highlights of what's going on in our area. You know, student affairs in itself, in an exception, was actually founded in the 19th century. And for student affairs, we come alongside academic affairs to develop the whole student. We support their retention and their persistence goals by doing programming. One of the theorists that grounded the area was Alexander Aston, and his whole piece is that students that are involved in school actually stay in school. That's a summary of the quote that I have right there. And so I'm just going to share some of the programs and some highlights of the 14 divisions that we have in the area. Okay, so our student organizations and events, we currently have 73 registered student organizations across the campus. We also did a proactive hazing prevention. We've had several probates this semester. We have 2 this weekend, one tomorrow, and then one on Sunday in terms of probates. But we had at least, we had 1,024 students do a hazing prevention seminar workshop. In residence life, we achieved 85% occupancy. That's 2,900 residents. And that's important. We also are migrating to a new sophisticated software to help manage residence life for us. In residence life, I'll talk a little bit more about the living learning experience and the programming that we've been doing over the last semester, as a matter of fact. And then for our first year students, it is really important for our students that enroll for the very first semester for us to get them involved as soon as possible. So we do some intensive programming for the first 6 weeks to make sure they're connected to TSU, they have a family, they have a community, and they find their tribe as it relates to other students here at TSU. As I shared earlier in terms of the framework, we do our programming around what we called vectors, and they're student success vectors. And our theme is, of course, student, but that student stands for, the S is self-identity, so we do programming around students establishing identity. T, which is task competence, and that's developing competence, and the Career Development Center works really well in that area. U for student understanding, understanding emotions and managing their emotions. That's our counseling centers, that's student conduct, that's the wellness center, et cetera, to get some, work out some stress. Dependence and dependability, and that's autonomy to independence. We know that our students are coming, many are coming from far away. We have California, other states, et cetera, and international students, but just also just understanding that independence, so residence life, that living, learning piece. Emotional connections. Many of our students will find their very best friends for life right here at TSU. It's their roommate or other individuals on their hall and different programming opportunities to make sure they connect. That's student activities and that's residence life as well. Developing mature relationships, developing purpose, and also developing identity. So with all of that, I like to share that for this semester and this semester alone, this is going to blow you away, we have hosted more than 300 events. 300 events. In Residence Life, our Residence Hall, our RAs and our Residence Hall directors, they did more than 160 programs. Each RA is required to do 2 programs, and we try to make sure they fall into our vectors of learning, so we grow the whole student. So they did, I think it's 167 to be exact, for programming in residence life. Career Services had 75 programs. They do things around employer events, lunch and learns. They've hosted Lowe's, FedEx, Bank of America on campus. They do mock interviews. They do different workshops and sessions with students too. They also do classroom visits to talk about career services, and they do resume writing with students to make sure we're prepping them for what's to come beyond TSU. Of course, our wellness center, we have programming there. We have programming in our counseling center and our health center, and student conduct, and the list goes on. But we've hosted more than 300 events this semester alone. Okay. And of course, I talked about the student life, and the student life is program and development. That is student leadership, the Office of Student Engagement and Leadership, and Dean Roach actually put her pieces in vectors. Developing competence, she had 9 initiatives. Managing emotions, 9. Autonomy to independence, 4. Mature relationships, 8. And the list goes on. And for the full list of events for student life and for student affairs, we do have a calendar that's online that we kind of do highlights from, and we promote events from there. Okay. I talked a little bit about support, the holistic support for students. Our health services area, they had 243 visits via the Timely Care platform. I introduced Timely Care at one of the previous board meetings, and Timely Care is an app. So our students have access 24/7 to health care as well as mental health care. So they can see a counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist. They can have regular sessions, or they can have some specialized services. They can even do a talk now feature if they just need to talk to someone, and that's available within minutes for them. This is all free to the student. For the students that's feeling ill, for an example, my daughter, who's a student here, was feeling ill and told me she wasn't feeling very well, and I said, you know, log on to Timely Care. You can see a doctor right then and there. And if it's the flu, if it's viral, if it's something that's not a break or whatever, they'll actually send a prescription to CVS, Walgreens, or wherever. You can get it Ubered or wherever to you. But these services are free to our students, and it's 24/7 care. Okay. We do have a health center, but our health center has standard hours, 8 to 4:30. They're really busy and doing a really good job there too. But for the weekends and for the evenings, etc., this is a great supplement. The same thing with counseling services. For disability services, we had 141 registered students and providing academic accommodations for those students as well. Our Veteran Affairs area, we had 185 students. We have 185 students on VA benefits. We are working to enhance that area. We have a proposal, and as a matter of fact, starting in the spring semester, we'll have a full veterans lounge for those students. They'll be able to go into the lounge, actually hang out with each other. We'll have some programming in that space as well. So we're excited about that. And then for our international services, we've had 224 international students enrolled this semester. We do OPT workshops, and that's occupational training workshops, cultural events, and we also work with them in terms of their visas and getting home and homesickness and all the other pieces too. We have had some delays in student visas just because of the nature and the climate of what's going on politically. And then some of the achievements and recognitions, it's important to know that our students are busy and doing a whole lot of great stuff, no ands and buts. So this is just a snapshot. The Career Center hosted a career fair. We had 119 companies on site, and we had 791 students attend the career fair. We do have another career fair coming up in March as well, and we'll have, probably it'll be a more popular career fair. When I say popular, 791 is pretty good, but we'll have a couple thousand that'll show up for that, and we'll also host additional companies. It'll be in the hundreds as well. The AOB performed the NFL halftime in Atlanta, and of course they brought down the house like they always do. They always do an awesome performance. And then the New Direction Choir won the Best HBCU Choir of the Year of How Sweet the Sound in Washington, D.C., and they also just recently performed the Stellar Awards and did an awesome job there too. So those are highlights. Any questions?
All right, no questions. Thank you for your report. We appreciate the work you're doing.
Thank you very
Thanks. Next on the agenda is the report on enrollment, and Dr. Eric Stokes will be providing that report.
Good morning. Committee Chair, Trustee Norfleet, good morning. Board members, Tiger Nation that's listening online and those present, I welcome you. I'm Dr. Eric Stokes, Vice President for Enrollment Management here at Tennessee State University. Just a reminder, enrollment management includes functions of undergraduate admissions, recruitment, new student orientation, visits, events, enrollment communications, data, and reporting. I want to walk you through a few things today in terms of strategic initiatives and update on where we are with enrollment management from building off the initiatives that were set forth from the Strata Information Group for us. Talk a little bit about our key accomplishments. I want to do a few highlights and building off the positive things my previous colleagues have been talking about. Give you an admissions update for spring and fall, and then we'll close with scholarships. You've seen this slide before. This slide was created by the Strata Information Group, SIG, the consultants that are helping the university with some enrollment initiatives. And I wanted to give an update from these initiatives. I color-coded them to help understand where we are. The green essentially means those are either complete and ongoing. The yellow is started, but it's probably less than 50% complete at this point. And the orange is pending, coming forth. All right, I actually want to start with the bottom up, if you want to follow me there, starting with the lead generation. Lead generation is very important. Obviously, that's the beginning funnel. That's how we get students into the pipeline to ultimately get them admitted and enrolled. The goal was to really grow the funnel at the top so that more students can be offered admission and have our best likelihood to yield those students. We've really increased the way that we intake students into our Slate CRM system. There's multiple ways you can do that through 2 applications. We have our inquiry form, we have our campus visits, events, registrations. We have campus partners who send us data sets, community partners that send us data sets, and then pretty soon we'll be launching our direct admit initiatives with, actually next week with the state, the governor's direct admit initiative. And so we'll be getting a lot of different leads coming in from that and from all these other data sets. We've purchased about 50,000 of our 100,000 ACT names, and we've got plans to continue doing that throughout the spring. The next ACT is December, so we'll be buying some more, and that's a mix of sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And so we have different campaigns messaging to those students. Additionally, we have our institutional app, which is the Slate app. We also have the Common Black College app. And then in December, we're set to launch our Common application, which is the National Common app. We're set to launch that. We already have over 6,200 inquiries in Common App, and we haven't even launched yet. And so we're excited about that. That really helps to elevate our platform on a national, international scale, to be set with other peers and like institutions. And then, of course, I mentioned about Governor Lee's direct admit initiative that will be launching very soon. In terms of enrollment marketing, we've really made some great strides in enrollment marketing, particularly through Slate, that CRM that I keep referencing. We've created a variety of campaigns. We have an admit to commit campaign. So after you get admitted, we have a series of messages that help walk you through enrollment, to help push you through. Some of those messages are transactional, some are nurturing messages to build affinity for the university, and we have plans to continue and grow and expand that as we move throughout the year. We have apply now messages, we have complete your application messages, we have sophomore and junior campaign messages, event communication, so a host of things that are all running through that, and we can track everything in there. We can nudge students, we can do a variety of email, text, voice, a variety of different ways to reach students. And so we're excited about the opportunities we got going forward, expanding that, bringing in some college messaging from deans. We've already been talking to some deans, academic partners. The College of Ag has a great plan, College of Engineering. So we're excited to work with them and bring them into the communication plans as well too, because that's where we really make those connections with students. And we want to make sure every message is functional, it's readable, it really helps the open rates on those messages. Let me go back real quick. Let me hit these 1, 2, restructure, the one in the yellow and the one in the orange, and I'll come back to the top 2 in the green. The one in the yellow, restructuring, that one is not just restructuring of people, but it's not just organizational and personnel restructuring, but I also like to add process and procedures in that too. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we move along. But we've done some great things with the processes and procedures to build efficiencies in with the structures. And a lot of that is from some of the positions. I thank President Tucker for the investments in enrollment management. So we've been able to hire people to help do some really critical key functions for us that help move things along. From our transfer coordinator, we have staff that oversee campus events, recruitment, orientation, managing Slate, helping with data and reporting, enrollment communications. All of these are necessary positions to help advance the university and to help us to move towards our enrollment goals for fall and beyond. And then also the orange, that section with the enrollment plan, I just want to note that that's something that will be coming a little bit more in spring 2026. We'll start to build out the foundations for that. So ultimately, we're starting to look, like a more modern, progressive enrollment management division that look like some of our peers and some of our aspirant institutions. So really proud of that. Some of the key accomplishments that I want to highlight, brag on my team for a minute. We've done some great things this fall with Slate implementation. I'll talk briefly a bit more about that in a second. And I'll also talk more about the admissions process and enhancements we've made there. With campus visits, we've been making some great progress. That will also be coming later. I just want to give you an overview here, the recruitment, the travel. So we're just able to do a lot of things to really impact a variety of functions that really help to move students through the enrollment process. Dropping to number 5 right there, our transfer evaluation, credit evaluation. That one's something that that is for current students and for new students, and has really helped to impact some of the academic pursuits in terms of getting students registered in the right classes, the right time, right courses, so that we're not having any repetition of courses, we're not having any delays in terms of progress, and then I'll talk a little bit about our partnerships. So I talked about the SLATE implementation with that. That one's really important because these are some great things that we're able to do with SLATE. With SLATE, we it's a beast. It does take a lot, and I, of course, want to give a shout out to Dr. Angela Duncan, who is our Executive Director of Enrollment Services. She's really been doing a great work leading our SLATE implementation, and it's taken all of us to really jump in and help, but we can do so much with it, and there's still so much more to unlock. We can do prospect management, application management. We've been doing managing our communications, managing campus tours, a variety of things with SLATE, and so I'm proud of the work that we've done in coordination with our SIG partners. I know the graduate school also got some accomplishments they could probably share with SLATE, as we're both in the same instance. And so it's really advancing the university to do some good things there. Our admissions process. I want to share with you about how that works, how the sauce is made, how we make tigers from the back end. So students obviously will apply to the university. Their file gets complete. Once their file is complete, it moves into review. Goes into that first review. From that, we determine if the student's admissible or not. If they are, we move them to admit. If they're not, we'll move them to what we call supplemental review, where we ask for additional information. Our application is built to be sleek, to be quick for students to apply. We don't ask a lot of information if we don't need it at the point of admission. So that's where the supplemental review comes in, where we ask students they might need to retest, they might need to send us their 7th semester grades, they can fill out the supplemental review questionnaire we've created to learn a little bit more about them, to learn about the rigor of their courses. We can learn about their interest, their involvement, their goals, and then from that, when we receive some of those things back, they move into second review, where we'll do another holistic, deeper dive on their application, and at that point, they can either be admitted or they can be denied. If they're admit, of course, they'll get this letter. This is the admit letter that they'll see in their SLATE portal, which is their Future Tiger portal. They'll have some confetti coming down in the portal. One day we'll figure out how to make it play music, but we can't do everything first cycle. We gotta come back with some highlights next year. So they'll get that. I'll show you something else in a second. I want to tell you about the enrollment process. So after they get admitted, and I should also back up for a second, our deny letter, we've revised it so it's not just a sorry you can't come here. It's a little bit more softer language, a little more encouraging. We actually have logic in the letter to direct them to our Tiger Tracks transfer partnership program that we're creating in conjunction with Nashville State and some other community colleges, to where those who are in those service areas will be referred to that program, that particular college, and we have some other information there. All others will get some language that still encourages, take certain courses, try again, your path doesn't end here, we want you to come back to the university, so we'll do that, and we'll do some follow-up messages with them. With the enrollment process, after a student gets admitted to the university, all our efforts, all of our our resources, our communication is to drive them through this process to really impact yield. I'll talk a little bit more about yield later, which is essentially the amount of students that we admit, how many actually enroll. So we've got to get them to do the FAFSA. 99.9% of our students that enroll here submit a FAFSA. So we really we're partnering with our financial aid office to push students to get that FAFSA in. It's not just submitting the FAFSA, but then we got to do follow-ups, because students may submit a FAFSA, but they may not it may be on verification, they may have used the wrong social security number, they may have done all these mistakes, and so they may say, I've submitted it, but it's not able to be processed. So just know that we'll be working students all throughout the funnel to get those things in, to get that FAFSA in so we can get our financial aid awards out to them. Then we want students to confirm enrollment. We want them to deposit for or apply for housing and then ultimately register for orientation. Last thing I'll mention on this is that we moved the orientation registration fee. We're taking that out of orientation and putting it with confirmation. So we're moving that commitment up sooner, which is what many schools do in terms of paying an enrollment deposit for confirmation, and then you do not have to pay an orientation fee. You just register for orientation. But that gives us data early to lock students in, to know sort of where we're leaning, to know if we need to admit any more students through that process. Those who get admitted, like I mentioned, they get the letter in their Slate portal, their Future Tiger portal. They log in, they can see the confetti, but it's not just there because some students don't check their email. But we encourage students to do that. But we also want to send something hard copy. I'm a little old school in this sense, but we want them to be able to see it, touch it, feel it. We want parents to be able to see it at the home. And so it's a personalized mailer that this is the front side of the mailer, and this is what, if you see on the screen on the right side, that opens up inside the mailer so that they can use it as a poster they can put on their wall. We want them to hashtag it, take pictures, post it on social media. And so the inside, it's personalized. It also has the admit letter printed on the inside of the brochure, as well as next steps. And like I said, we want this also, when they open it, we want them to be able to play I'm So Glad, but we're not there yet. So we've got a QR code. They can QR code to the band playing I'm So Glad, and it just gives a nice little touch, nice little feel to the students to celebrate. In fact, we had a really great celebration of a student at a local high school, and we were able to take some, she posted her celebration online, and we were able to take some Tiger swag over to the school to thank her for posting and being so excited with the celebration. And so that went really well. I was really pleased with that, with my team on that one. Let me come back to that. All right. Let's move on, keep on moving. Campus events. I mentioned this being really big because it takes a lot to run an event. It takes a lot to set it up, to manage it. Our campus tours, it takes a lot to set those up every day, to give family tours, group tours, and it takes campus partners. And so I'm really pleased with the campus partner support for our events. So I want to thank them for that. Dr. Portia Johnson leads our tours. Her and Zaria Hobbs are two staff members. We've hired 26 Tiger tour guides who are phenomenal student leaders. They do a great job already. They've only been at the job for a month or so, and they've been doing great work. We've also hosted events for school counselors in Nashville and in Memphis to really inform them about the university. We have planned to do that in some more cities moving forward. And this past weekend, we had our Big Blue Explosion, which was our fall preview day. We had over 550 parents, students, and guests attend that event. It was great energy, high energy. The band showed up in full force. We had not all, but many student organizations there. All the colleges were represented, departments, and so it's a really great experience for students. We have a lot of positive feedback. We had people from all over 12 different states come for that. In the spring, we plan to have a variety of events partnering with our campus partners, colleges, some alumni organizations to do admitted student events here locally and regionally, as well as hosting some junior preview day events. So that's something we're proud of. Jumping back to this slide for a second, I want to talk about the number 4, recruitment and travel. Just to highlight, in addition to all of the events on campus that we've been doing, we've been hitting the road, traveling quite a bit with our 3 admissions counselors and a couple other team members that recruit and travel. And I know that there are colleges out there that travel, College of Ag, College of Engineering, Department of Math, Health, Human Sciences, some others. I'd be remiss if I try to name them all, but it's not just us out recruiting, it's them too. It's our alumni, they've been out recruiting, the in California and Texas and all over DC. And so I'm really proud of the support that we've had from our alumni as well. But just for our team, what we've been doing, we've hosted 251 families on our campus visits. I failed to mention that. And 43 group tours on our campus visits. And so that was really thriving. And then when you look at our events, we've done over 81 events since for September and October, 81 recruitment events in different places across Tennessee and the region. And then our transfer evaluation, I wanted to note that, highlight our Office of the Registrar. They've been doing great work as well too, trying to build efficiencies into the process. As I mentioned earlier about how students can get really caught up if we can't get the evaluations complete on time, early, accurate. They may end up taking incorrect courses. Advisors don't have the information they need. And so we've really made some efficiencies there where a student, after they get admitted, they typically should have a credit evaluation posted in their degree works within about 24 to 72 hours of being admitted, unless they have, some people may go to 4 or 5 schools. It may take a little bit longer there, or something may be off, but generally we can get those evaluations done pretty quickly. And then we just have additional partnerships pending with a variety of institutions, like I mentioned, Nashville State, Metro Public Schools, KIP schools, Lead schools, and some other community colleges. So we're growing, we're expanding. I want to start to bring it to a close, bring it to our admissions update for spring, fall, and then I'll talk about scholarships and yield for questions. Our admissions for fall, right now, I would sum up this slide. The light red and blue are are 2026. The dark red and blue are 2025. And they're freshmen and transfer. They don't include readmit, non-degree, but I have those numbers. If you have questions, I can pull those numbers up real quick. But the good news is applications are up for spring, admits are up for spring, and if our yield rate holds to be similar to last year, then we should look to enroll a spring new student class similar to last year, and maybe with a small uptick even. And so that's good to know. In addition to, one more thing I should say about the spring, going back, is that we've really only received 68% of our applications. So we're still expected, based on last year, to get 30% more applications. So that's even more encouraging, especially since we're already up at this point. So just wanted to note that we're looking good right now. Admissions isn't over until they put their bottoms in the chairs in classes, but it's always good to be trending up, and which is what we're doing. Also for the fall, 2026, freshman transfer, we're trending up in applications. We're up 3% in applications. Again, it's the dark red, dark blue are 2025, the light red, light blue are 2026. Trending up in applications. Our yield last year was pretty low. Our admits are trending down at this point, just shy of last year. But last year's yield was really low, and so that's where I said earlier we want to really focus on the yield. If we can increase that, then that's going to make the difference regardless of how many people we admit. But there is good news with admission. Good news with admission, right now, the quality of our class is up. So on the left side graph that you see on the screen, this is just from August 1 to yesterday, 11/20. GPAs are on the left side graph, ACTs are on the right side graph. The red is 2026, the blue is 2025, so our GPA, the quality of our applicants in those first 2 bars are up. The next 2 bars on the right side of the screen are admitted students. So the quality of our admitted student, the GPA is up. On the right side of the screen, on the right graph, again, first 2 bars there are the apps, the next 2 bars are the admitted students, and so the ACT of our applicants and our admits are also up at this point in time. Because we did, as you mentioned, as we noted in the last board meeting, we raised our admission standards a little bit. We've been buying names of higher quality applicants. We want to really build on the momentum that Provost Melton talked about, all the work academically that our teams are doing. We want to bring in well-prepared students, and we want to help to increase the retention, progression, and graduation rates. trust me, enrollment management, we understand our role that we play. We have a significant responsibility here to not only bring in a number of students, but we also want to bring in well-prepared students to the university, and that matters in the classroom and in the residence halls as well. I want to close with this slide. This is our scholarships, our new scholarships. We've worked hard in conjunction with our consultants, Alvarez and Marcel, and some others around who have been weighing in with some input from financial aid, from our admissions office, our SIG enrollment team. And so we've really done some great work. There's been a lot of some really smart data scientists who've done some research, across different different universities and what model works for the university here. And last year, if I remind you, our discount rate for scholarships was north of 60% somewhere. We've had to get that down. That was not sustainable for the institution. We've worked really hard to reduce that. The state average is somewhere in the 20s, 24 to 28% or so, but Tennessee State, we're coming off of some unusual circumstances in terms of enrollment, so we're not able to go all the way there just yet. So we've reduced these. These discount rate is around about 38 to 42%, give or take, in different areas depending on which scholarship you may be eligible for. And I'll quickly walk you through. The top two is our competitive awards. The competitive awards. The Levi Watkins, of course, has been a long-standing competitive award here at the university, and that will remain unchanged. But because we were bringing in higher quality students, we're bringing in these top scholars, we also wanted to create another program that would address and attract top quality students, and that's the Presidential Scholars. That one has a similar criteria of Levi Watkins. It also requires a competitive application, but it's not restrictive to majors, and so students who are not necessarily considering medical school could be eligible for that program, but they'll have to apply for it. And then the next three have been reimagined scholarships from the previous Tier 1, Tier 2s that were really large dollar scholarships, and they just fiscally were not sustainable for the institution. These are still attractive to students. We've done a lot of research and data to make sure that we still can have a competitive advantage with these scholarships, and they'll still be beneficial for students in terms of financing their education. And so we've named them the Tennessee State Renaissance Scholarship, the 1912 Heritage Scholarship, and the TSU Torch Scholarship. And so if you think about them, Torch, Heritage, Renaissance, in terms of the rankings, you see the GPAs, you see the test scores. The key there is that it's an or statement. So that really gives us a competitive advantage to keep the scholarships to be accessible for students and to help encourage success. And so students who are in that 3.0 to 3.5 range might be awarded a scholarship here that they may not get from some of our state peers. In that 20 to 21 range, they also may not be scholarship eligible at some of our state peers where they may be here. And so we have a very good chance of trying to attract those students financially after we showcase all the wonderful things happening at TSU, that it will also be a good fit, not just for their academics, but also for their finances. And then we retain the Tiger Transfer Scholarship and our MMPS Milk Trailblazer Scholarship. We'll be having a signing soon in conjunction with the superintendent and our president there. We've revised that one a little bit. The biggest thing is that we've expanded it to attract other schools in the district, still public schools, and it allows more students to take advantage of that, more students to be eligible for, my bad, more students to be eligible for Tennessee State, and we revised the finances on that to where it's tuition and fees, so it's sustainable for the institution. Well, the mic going out, I guess, is my time, so I will yield for questions.
I'll start with the first question. I have two. When your strategic strategies, the 6 at the top, I just want to make sure I understood a date. I think the strategic enrollment management plan, that's already started, or you're starting it in this summer?
That has not begun yet. That's going to take the foundations of that to build out a real strategic enrollment plan. It's going to need, we'll have to have leaders to chair it. We'll have to form committees. We'll need involvement from across divisions. We'll need data scientists involved with that to really look at a variety of different things, residence halls, capacity, classroom space, majors, different capacity with majors, where we're attracted, sort of a SWOT analysis. So it's a pretty involved initiative. And so no, we haven't begun planning that yet. We're trying to get students admitted and get ready for fall class.
Gotcha.
But yes.
My next question is the MNPS Trailblazer Scholarship. Is there a reason why it's just MNPS? Because when I'm looking just across the bar, in-state first time must be also be Tennessee Hope eligible. And so is there a reason why we have not included other school districts in that conversation?
There's a great question. And no, there's not a strong reason, although it's an existing MOU. We're just sort of revising it. My hope is that if this goes well, and financially, if the university can afford it, that it would make sense to perhaps expand that to other school districts in the state. It's a great opportunity for them to come to the university, to utilize the Hope Scholarship in a way that it doesn't impact, like some last dollar scholarships include all of your Pell, your federal Pell, your TSAC award and Hope, and then it's a last dollar on that. But we've structured this to where students can use their Hope Scholarship and we'll supplement the other part for tuition and fees, but it allows them to also still use their Pell Grant, their TSAC if they're eligible, to help pay for the other cost of college, the room, the meal plan. About 90% of our freshmen live on campus, and so we want to make sure that we are attentive to those student needs as well.
But to your question, when we first looked at that MOU with the local public school systems, it was limited to their academies. So by definition, it excluded charters. So we've changed that language. So now other students can.
Yeah, because I was also wondering, like Dixon and Clarksville and Rutherford, all those school systems as well. I mean, because some of them would even just drive in and drive. They'll be commuters, and so it's attractive to at least have an enrollment increase by offering that type of scholarship. But I understand that there was MOU, so I would just encourage that other school districts are kind of evaluate and reach out to as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion, and it's something that we'll work with our consultants, Alvarez and Marcel, to run numbers and make sure it's financially suitable for the university.
Quickly, at the last meeting, we talked about widening our footprint to include other counties that surround Davidson County. What have we done to sort of implement recruiting students from counties other than here in Davidson County or Memphis? What have we done, a part of your program, that have included widening the footprint of recruitment?
Great question. Thank you for that. First, we'd start with the lead generation. We've bought, names in Tennessee. When you structure the name buys, you can structure it with ACT score bands, GPA score bands, academic level, and for Tennessee, it was pretty wide open. We almost bought everybody in Tennessee that made sense to buy, versus in our regional markets, we sort of segmented that. So that allowed us to get a lot more names across the state of Tennessee to put into the system to start messaging to. So that's one thing. Two, we've, thanks to the investments from President Tucker, we're able to expand our recruitment team from 1 person to 3 people. And so while we can't completely saturate the state of Tennessee with 3, but we can do a lot more. We can get to more schools, we can get to more college fairs, and we've been able to do that outside of just Davidson County. And we track all this in our system to where the fairs that we've attended, schools we've visited, and additionally, I would say our extension partners being alumni, our different college recruiters, they've been going out to schools as well too, so they've been hitting these areas. It's not just the admissions office. So is there more we can do? Absolutely, absolutely, we can do more, but I am pleased with at least the work we've done so far, getting to those schools, getting to the college fairs. The TACRO calendar, which is the Tennessee Admissions and TACRO stands for something. Tennessee Admissions College Admissions and Recruitment Officer or registrars. They create a calendar that pretty much saturates Tennessee with college fairs in every county, and we've hit all of those in Middle and Middle and West Tennessee specifically. There are some we may not have got to in East Tennessee, but we've definitely expanded beyond Davidson County. 11% of our students right now, our admitted students, come from Shelby County. 7% of our admits are in Davidson County. So of our limited resources, we are focusing our efforts there, but we absolutely are still trying to get to additional schools. We have great students in Wilson County and in Clarksville and Williamson County and all the other counties surrounding Middle Tennessee. The provost was letting me know about some MOU partnerships that we have with some of the community colleges there, Montlow and some others there. And so, not just freshmen, but transfer students as well, too. We're reaching out to those counties. We welcome any other suggestions that others may have.
On the timeline for application to admit, how much time is there between application to admittance, and what impacts that?
Great question. If the student once the file is complete, that's when I would say the timeline begins. Because some people say, I've applied and hadn't heard anything. It's like, well, we've messaged you 100 times looking for your transcript or a test score. But once the file is complete, if they're admissible at that point, they move to review. They get reviewed probably within, sometimes within 24 hours, sometimes 48 hours. They'll be admitted. A freshman, typically. Transfers will take a little bit longer because we have to evaluate the transcript, going through these transcripts, calculating GPAs, and if you get to 4 or 5 schools, that can take some time. So, still a couple days on those. A little bit heavier at times when we lead up to the, like for January enrollment, we'll get so many transcripts in December that we'll be rushed to try to get them in, so we'll focus on spring enrollment. So if you apply for fall, you might get pushed back a little bit. So it ebb and flows given on the time of year. But a freshman who's admissible should happen pretty quickly. If they're not admissible, that's when we put them in supplemental review, and at that point we kick the ball back to the student, and so it depends on how quickly the student gets that information back to us. If we're waiting on 7th semester grades, of course, there's nothing we can do until we get those grades in, because we want them to give them a chance to improve their GPA, look at what they're doing in the fall. Sometimes they have a slow start as a freshman and they start to build, and we'll look at those trends. So those could take several weeks before we admit those students. Does that explain it?
Anybody else?
Is this an automated process, or is this actually people going in and doing all this?
Good question. It's a bit of both. Again, leveraging some of the efficiencies in Slate, we're able to create some criteria in Slate to where if the student meets this certain criteria, then they can be routed to admission. So a student with a 4.0 and a 30 ACT, we're not going to take time to read their file. We're going to make an assumption that they're a good student, and we're going to go ahead and admit. And then for the other students, we take a little bit more time to read. And so there are actual people looking at these files. Yes. Some longer than others.
Trustee Chapman.
Just out of curiosity, the TSU Renaissance Scholarship has a GPA of 3.75 or higher. I know it's an or, but I also noticed that the presidential scholars have a lower GPA requirement. Just curious of why that's not swapped.
It's an and for the presidential and the Levi Watkins, so you have to meet both the GPA and the ACT criteria on that. We married it with the criteria for the Levi Watkins because, those are still high achieving students. The thing with the Renaissance Scholarship, there are a good number of students in Tennessee that have 4.0s that do not have extremely high test scores. And so that would make those students eligible for that scholarship. Still high scholar quality students may not test as well. And then on the vice versa, students who may test really high but may have had something to impact their GPA. So that's why we set that one as an or on that particular range.
follow up on that though, what's the consideration beyond that GPA? Is it the program of study, the school? I mean, I'm just curious. Is there additional consideration?
For the Renaissance Scholarship, Renaissance Heritage Scholars, just have to be admitted to the university. So, go ahead.
That 375 though.
Why the 375?
No, I'm saying, is there additional consideration of the program of study
Oh,
for that
no.
student?
There's not. There's
Okay.
not. So, music, engineering, architecture, all of those students would be eligible. The big difference, in addition, I didn't go through all the amounts there, but the amounts range, as you can see, from 3,500 to 85 for out-of-state students. Those are a lot more resembling of what students will find at other state institutions and other peers. The GPA range is also similar to what other peers have done in terms of the ranges. As we ran numbers, it also, the range of where the GPA and test score, we looked at currently enrolled students, what our enrollment, historical enrollment would be, how many students might be eligible at different ranges. So we tried to make it, to set it to where it is accessible to the student, but also still sustainable for the institution, because setting it too low could qualify too many people at that higher dollar amount to where we really sort of getting ourselves in some financial trouble. And we wanted to be very careful with where we set our scholarships, the philosophy on it, and that's where we did a lot of talk back and forth about the OR statement, and we felt good that that made it accessible for students to expand it that way. But the GPA ranges, we wanted to set it high enough to where we were awarding academic quality students, but then also, not setting it too high to attract students that have not been typically coming in waves to the university. Yeah. Welcome.
I just want to note that I'm really encouraged by all of these improvements. A lot of people in the room know I'm in the thick of all of this with my son right now, and so
Yes.
this part, what I'm seeing here looks a lot like what we're seeing across the state. Whereas before, TSU we weren't looking like our peers in this process, and so this is very encouraging, because then when you have high schoolers, they will be comparing like things, and so we will look like who we are being compared to when students are choosing within the state. So I'm very encouraged by this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. We hope to keep the
I was
Tiger
gonna
legacy
say
going.
the similar thing, because I remember coming to TSU and I got admitted. The only thing I got was an email and like the felt flag, and then just an email saying make sure you pay your $100 for housing. So this is a great improvement. The only suggestion I have, I was working preview day last week, and I just had a lot of students coming up to the table, especially out-of-state students from like Ohio, Indiana, that don't know anything about Tennessee, just asking about additional scholarships. They weren't aware about the foundation, and I don't think they even got this chart that we're seeing. So just making sure the data is available to them and they understand that as well.
Absolutely. It actually was in the presentation for preview day. The problem is, as we do a debrief and make tweaks, is don't put all the fun academic stuff after all the high energy, the Greeks, the band. I think at that point, and myself included, was on stage, and I don't know that they were paying attention as much as we wanted them to. They did, because they asked questions about it, but we did have this up there, and it's on our website now, and we will continue to message students about it. In fact, after they get admitted, we have a message to drive them to look at the scholarships, to apply for the competitive awards. So you're absolutely right. We've got to keep promoting it and do a much better job, especially with our out-of-state students. And that's where I talk about that yield really comes into play in the spring, of helping them to piece together how financially they can make TSU work for them. So, you're right.
All right, anybody else? The last thing I would say is there is a private two-year HBCU in North Little Rock, Arkansas that would love an MOU agreement with you as well. So just look into that.
Fantastic. I think we can make that work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, board members.
Is there any additional business? If there are none, we will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right. Please call the roll, Secretary.
Yes, and we can do a roll call vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
We're adjourned at 10:17 a.m.
Ready? We can take a break till about 10:30.
That'd be helpful. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome. The November 21st Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee meeting of the Tennessee State University Board of Trustees is now called to order. The time is 10:45 a.m. Central Time. At this time, we need to call the roll. Board Secretary Brown, will you please call the roll?
Chair Winton? Present. Trustee Smith?
Present.
Trustee Chapman?
Present.
Trustee Towns?
Present.
We are present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. First matter on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the meeting agenda as contained in the materials for?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor vote aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. The motion is approved. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the June 12th, 2025 Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee meeting minutes. The Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee these minutes are included in your board materials. I'll entertain a motion to approve for the Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee to recommend the full board the approval of the June 12th Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee meeting minutes as contained in the materials. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the June 12th Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee meeting minutes as contained in the materials for the November 20th committee meeting, November 21st committee meeting. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. There is one item on the agenda today, which is our legislative update. Leah Dupree Love with the Ingram Group is here to provide that. Ms. Love, you're recognized.
Thank you so much. Before I do start, if you are familiar with the Atlanta Classic, leave it to HR to bring it to my attention, but I do know that I look a little different in these colors. I'm not going to mention what school that is. Please forgive me. You all know I bleed blue, so thank you, Dr. Johnson, for tapping me on my shoulder and letting me know that I was out of order. But I bleed blue. Orange is my favorite color. I do apologize, but I love Tennessee State University. I am an alum. And I always think, work, and serve. And so I just wanted to say that for all those watching online as well. I bleed blue. So let's see here. So for those of you just who are not familiar with the Ingram Group or who I am, why I am here, the Ingram Group was hired to handle all government relations issues for the university at the state legislature. And so this slide here is here. I use this for every entity that I work with that has a board, just so we all remember, who we are, what hats we wear. Read this at your own convenience. Is really just there just to remind you, what is Leah doing, who is Leah talking to, why she's doing that, so you can just know how we interact with each other or how we should be interacting with each other as it relates to government relations and interacting with the state legislature. And so usually I'm before you 3 times during this time here, also during February meeting, and then also back in June. During this meeting, I will just go over what the legislative session is going to look like, giving you a timeline of where we are. In February, I will be back again discussing any bills that are before the legislature and how the university is handling those bills. And then I'll be back in June for a legislative wrap-up. Most of my interactions is with the administration and their staff, but when it comes to the board, I will be presenting things that you need, and you'll hear more about that a little bit later. So where we are now in November, just a reminder, the governor's office is into budget presentation modes, and so all universities, all public universities, all departments and government entities are presenting their budgets to the governor. And these budgets are based on the questions and the allocations and requests that entities made to the governor, I believe, in September. And so I don't know what the university submitted in September, but these presentations are going on right now. And again, this process helps the governor finalize his budget, and we'll know what we have in the budget. I do want to give acknowledgement to President Tucker during the Higher Education Committee, and I know he has a report later today, but I do just want to highlight that here. During the higher education hearing that was before the governor and his staff, during that hearing, you will have THEC, you will have Tennessee Board of Regents, you'll have the UT system, and then you'll have a representative from the LGIs, which is the locally governed institutions, and they always have a representative who represents the LGIs, and so President Tucker represented the LGIs, and I just want to say he did a wonderful job representing the LGIs and also highlighting some things that the university is doing. And one of the accomplishments that he did highlight for the university is that TSU produces the most licensed cardiorespiratory career services graduates. And so we were so happy that, you know, you should be proud that, you know, your president was able to represent all LGIs and present, let's see here, December, and we'll talk about this a little bit later when we do some planning in preparation for that. But in December, what we have before us will be the sunset hearing, and this is where you all come into play. Tennessee State University's board is set to sunset in 2026, June of 2026. That does not mean that the university is going anywhere. It just means that the current board, its existence is ending in June 2026. That does not mean that it is going away. It just means that we have to go before the legislature one more time and present an audit so they can see the things and accomplishments that we have made throughout the year. And so I do not want people to think that the school is closing, it's ending when we have a sunset hearing. All public universities have a sunset hearing. All public departments have a sunset hearing. And so ours is just set to terminate in 2026. And so what they'll do is, just for the people viewing online, is that there's questions that they present to the board. They'll ask you things like, what are some accomplishments you've had this year? What is the composition of the board? Who sits on the board? Who are your chairs of your committees? And so those are some of the things that they will ask of the board. And so right now we are scheduled to meet December the 16th before the Joint Education, Health, and General Welfare Subcommittee. I do want to check this date because that committee right now is listed online as the 17th, and so I just want to double check to make sure that that's correct, but the date we were given is December the 16th, and so I'll double check that to make sure that you all have that on your calendars. And again, this is a board's sunset, and so the board is expected to be in attendance, and we can just talk about it a little bit later, but again, that is what's going to be happening in December. In January of the session, the legislature goes back in on January the 13th, and since this is the second year, they're going to go straight into hearings. They're going to go straight into committee hearings because they've already had their constitutional appointments, they already have their office assignments, and so they're going to go straight into bill file, and which brings us to February and March. And so I don't have the exact date, but I believe the State of the State is going to be February the 2nd. And during the State of the State, that is when the governor presents his budget. And so we will know what is in the budget, what is in his budget for all universities, all things public, anything that he wants on his agenda. We'll find this out during the State of the State. Also, during February and March, we'll also have trustee confirmations. We do have one new trustee, Trustee Towns, who will need to be confirmed. I do want to pause right here. If you recall, there are currently there, or previously there were 10 board members. 8 were appointed by the governor, 1 student trustee, and 1 faculty trustee. During this past legislative session, it was increased to 12 for all public universities, not just TSU. And what that did was it gave the Speaker of the House and the Speaker of the Senate 2 appointments themselves. And so because of how that fell, when the first 2 governor appointments fall off, those 2 will be replaced by the speakers of both the House and Senate. But what that did was it left two vacancies for us right now. So Trustee Towns was appointed by the Speaker of the Senate, and that left two more vacancies. We have a vacancy from the Speaker of the House and also the governor, who had not completed when we had a vacancy before. And so I do not know when that is going to take place. We have made some inquiries about that. As soon as I have more information about what that looks like, because we do have two vacancies on the board. And so this will be when that will happen, when they are appointed. That will be confirmed during February or March. Also, this is the time when the TSU's university leadership will go before the respective House and Senate committees and do their budget hearing. Again, their budget is going to be based on the allocations made by the state to the university, and then also any accomplishments that the university has had over the past year. And so this also will happen during February and March, and the Ingram Group will prepare leadership with pre-meetings on what that looks like. The board is not required to attend, but it would be wonderful to have the board go and support the president of the university when they are presenting their budget, and we will also let you know when that's going to be. And so that'll be around February, March as well. And then continuing on, I don't have it up here, but TSU's Day on the Hill will also be around the February, March. We don't have a date yet. We submit potential dates, and then they'll let us know what dates are available. And so February, March will be the times that we have our TSU Day on the Hill as well, and that's something that we will encourage our board members to attend. And then March and April, this is when we'll have the full list of all bills that impact the university. And so this may not impact you as much as it impacts the administration and operations, but we will present all of the bills that impact higher education and the university to the General Counsel, and we'll be reaching out to those who can assist us with making sure that if the bill is great, we're for it. If it's not great, we'll work with the sponsors on that to make sure that it's better for the university, and also working with the other LGIs on anything that impacts higher education. And then session typically ends around April or early May, and this is when I'll be back in June to give you a wrap up of everything that happened, every funding allocation that was approved, any bills that impacts the way that the university operates. We'll do that in June at the June board meeting. And so are there any questions about that timeline between where we are here in November until the end of session, March, April? Madam Chair. Okay, thank you. And then just really quickly on the federal level, I think it was the last time I was before you, Representative Mark Green, who is the congressman and who represents Tennessee State University, he vacated and resigned from his seat. And we had a good working relationship with Representative Green. And so Tennessee State will have a new congressional representative in December the 2nd. That is election day. And so this congressional district covers 13 counties, including, Davidson County and Tennessee State University. And so we will have a new person. And so one thing that we'll try to do is get the new congressman or congresswoman to come to the university to review the university and just see it, so we can make sure that we still have a good working relationship with the federal delegation. I think that's all I have, Madam Chair. If there are any questions. I know I went through a whole lot, but I'll be back in February to kind of bridge where we are and what has happened since the start of session.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Is there any additional business? Okay. If there's no additional business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Secretary, can you take the roll? Please take the roll.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The motion passes. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, before we begin the next meeting, may we have a brief break, about 5 minutes? Great, thank you.
Welcome to the historic.
All right, we're in a 2-minute warning. I lied, it's 1 minute. Darmita, you know your mama gonna get. All right, well, good morning and welcome. The November 21st, 2025 meeting of the Tennessee State University Board of Trustees is now called to order. The time is now 11:31 a.m. Central Time. At this time, we will need to call the roll. Board Secretary Brown, will you please call the roll?
Chair Winton,
Here.
Trustee Trauber,
Here.
Trustee Chapman,
Here.
Trustee Smith Knight,
Here.
Trustee Norfleet,
Here.
Trustee Qualls,
Here.
Trustee Smith,
Here.
Trustee Towns,
Here.
Trustee Young Sigler,
Here.
and Trustee Bruce.
Here.
We are all present.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. I just want to express my appreciation for all the time that all of you spend to prepare everything that you do for us as we get ready to head into this next board meeting. But I do want to take a brief pause to honor Amos Otis, who is an alum of Tennessee State University. I never got a chance to meet him personally, but I have heard so many stories about him, and what I can say is that he lived up to, as they say, the measure of a man is in the lives that he's touched. And we've seen how many lives that he's touched. So I do know someone here who did have a relationship with him, so I'll turn it over to Charles for a brief moment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate the time we have to honor Amos Otis, a distinguished TSU alumnus whose devotion to this institution was extraordinary. And he was not only an accomplished leader in his professional life, but he served as chair of the TSU TSU Foundation Board, and made extraordinary and historic individual monetary gifts to the university, demonstrating his deep commitment to our students and mission. His leadership and generosity showed a strong spirit of excellence and service to TSU and will leave an enduring legacy that will benefit our institution for generations. Just a personal story about some of my interactions with him. I know President Tucker also had a lot of interactions with him from our time on the foundation board. Last year in October, during Howard's homecoming when TSU was playing, I got to spend some extended time with Amos, and he shared some stories with me about his life. And he lived a truly extraordinary life, and he dedicated, or at least expressed to me, his sincere appreciation for the things that he achieved in life. He felt all tied back to Tennessee State University. So he was truly a great alumnus, and I'm glad we have an opportunity to honor him. And if we could just take a moment of brief silence. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Trauber, for those beautiful words. So before we proceed to the adoption of the agenda today, the chair recognizes President Tucker and Mr. Will Radford to provide remarks on the recognition of some outstanding TSU scholars. I'm super excited about this presentation, and I hope you all are too.
We'll actually have Leah Granderson speaking instead of Mr. Will Radford.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, well, you can stay seated over there. We thought this would be a great opportunity, and between Will and Leah and the work they've been doing to showcase the capabilities of our students, they engaged them to help reimagine the Avon Williams campus as well as some of our dorms. So we thought it'd be worthwhile to showcase the work that they've done and the benefit, and more importantly, what the fellow students think about those enhancements as well. So I'll turn it over to Leah.
Thank you so much for that, President Tucker. Good morning, Board of Trustees. My name is Leah Granderson. I'm the Executive Director for Planning, Design, Construction, and Campus Operations. And I have the distinct privilege of being able to introduce 3 phenomenal scholars who have been instrumental in defining what it means to have a student-centered focus planning, design, and construction experience at TSU. They have been rooted in our operations. They have informed us on the pulse of our students. And I don't want to spend a lot of time taking away from their presentation, but just know that we are great because of their efforts. And I look forward to you receiving what they have performed over the past year. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for sharing your time today. To the members of the board, our campus leadership, Azana, we will be presenting the framework that channeled our student creativity and the curiosity of our campus. I am Mark Gray, a transfer civil engineering student from Dallas, Texas. I chose TSU because of the opportunity to become an engineer. As someone who took a gap year to balance being a young adult, that drive has paid dividends to my student experience as I currently co-op in our Department of Planning, Design, and Construction.
Good morning, everyone. I am Joy Walton, and I will be holding the distinction of being the first Black woman to graduate from the College of Architecture at Belmont University. Thank you. I have since accepted an opportunity to expand my architectural skill set here at TSU as a planning and design coordinator in training. My long-term goal is to leverage the learning capabilities and resources here at TSU to eventually establish my own architectural firm. I am still new to this role. I've already found a true sense of belonging and community here on TSU campus.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for your time this morning. I'm Eli Smith.
I am a non-traditional student. I'm studying civil engineering here at Tennessee State University, but I'm also simultaneously serving as a project manager in our campus planning, design, and construction department. So you'll see a lot of what we do a little bit later in the presentation, but thank you all for your time this morning.
All right. This university has encouraged our self-discovery. It supported our involvement in how this campus operates and evolves. But the goal is to expand the same dynamic across the campus community to support degree programs interested in building student professional portfolios. The framework is built on 3 principles that model our campus leadership, and this has helped us engage with and learn from industry partners. Driving the execution of high-value projects is encouraging us to identify the industry that we want to pursue. And ultimately, it is sharing the innovation with our campus to support a collective vision.
Here are some projects that were measured of our progress. Starting on the left, there are photos of a space transformed to support student creativity and the One Move Big Impact that has transpired this summer. Initiative of the college education to our Avon Williams site downtown. It began as a room primarily for leadership, dining, and was transitioned to support student ideation. And we are going, and if we're going to pause for a second, if you look behind me, we're going to go through each board, and I will start with Humphreys Hall. As you can see here, it started out as a...
Can I interrupt you for a second? You can actually take that mic with you. Just pull the whole thing up, the whole contraption. No, the whole unit. Yeah, there you go.
I feel fancy. So here we have Humphreys Hall. It started out as a collaborative space that was initially for all students, but we needed it to be more collaborative. And so the overall goal for this was to design a space that was not only for students to be able to come leisure, but for them to collaborate, to have their own unique space.
I'll follow up by saying a little bit more about these projects that we participated in. Starting here is one of our renovations that took place over the summer in the Early Learning Center, now known as the Early Head Start Center, but we were able to leverage industry experts that we have, and then also our hard work in the office to complete the renovation, such as lighting, ceilings, flooring, walls painted, even creating a new entrance for the facility in our department in campus planning, design, and construction. Over the summer, and some of y'all can't see, these are the new marquee signs. We do have 3 new marquee signs that can be seen across campus. Mark and myself collaborated deeply in this project, and it was a really big win for us, being something of a new level, like a new magnitude that we were able to bring forth for the campus. We're really proud of that. Right here in the residence hall, we did painting, furniture, new flooring in many residence halls over the summer to provide students a fresh, new environment to come into this year, knowing that that's something that we need to be working on in the campus operations department. Very proud of that as well. Joy touched on the Humphreys Hall renovations that we did this summer, and one of the most recent wins that we've had is the homecoming that we put together. Homecoming was a huge win, and we were very proud to share it with all of you. Mark, myself, Joy, and many others that aren't here at the moment played a very big role in assembly, operation, and even cleanup for this event. So homecoming was one of the most interactive projects that we took place in this year, and we are extremely proud to have shared homecoming with you all.
And before we begin, I want to talk about the framework that achieved this level of success on from the student's perspective. The framework is built on 3 principles that model our campus leadership, and this has helped us engage with, and this is a repeatable process. We started by surveying our peers, listening to share concerns, and connecting with student government to help us lead to campus solutions. Progress was measured by the projects that you see completed over the summer within the set budget that then transferred to institutional knowledge. Go ahead.
Welcome to the historic Davis Humanities Building at Tennessee State University. Since 1926, this landmark has been a cornerstone of academic life, shaping generations of thinkers and leaders.
The building is riddled with a lot of quotes and phrases and sayings that if you're having a bad day, you could look up at it and get inspired.
Over each arch are the motto words, think, work, and serve.
Now, it's being reimagined for the future, with upgraded classrooms, collaborative spaces, and vibrant areas for student engagement. While renovations are underway, classes continue at alternate locations because learning never stops at TSU.
It sits there so proudly and brightly. That is the icon. The cupola is the image of TSU that appears in our stationery, on our flyers. You can see that and recognize it's TSU. The plans are to make each of the classrooms much more student-focused.
Creating like a safe haven, per se, and adding resources to the building, I believe, is something that we really, really need.
More co-curricular spaces designed for students to interact with faculty and with each other in a less formal situation.
20 years from now, when I do bring a mentee or something like that to here, and I can show them that I walk the same steps that you're trying to walk, it'd be beautiful to me. I would love that.
So that was a collaboration of multiple departments at TSU.
Our generation wants to apply skills before graduation, and the goal of this campaign was to empower students to a leading position role at the standard of here, and connect directly to shaping legacy and progression. Students at any time and scale can scan the QR code and view the behind-the-scene images of renovation happening here in Davis Hall. This level of transparency is meant to spark and enable the creativity of campus community.
Our goal is to promote 50 emerging leaders actively influencing campus solutions by 2028, alongside 95% participation in departments adopting the same framework for student engagement. To achieve this effort, this collective effort, providing a central hub and participating departments for student creativity is essential. We have began collaborating with colleges to support students interested in micro-projects and career exploration. And while students traditionally have become involved through word of mouth, starting this year, we have supported academic student organizations to encourage freshmen to lead student-centered development, helping channel their ambition and making this university's experience inspiring. We recognize the progress and support of $10,000 for 2 students during the pilot of 2024.
And our vision is to enable 50 emerging leaders with the necessary department space and resources to stimulate year-round student efforts towards professional excellence that is supported by an ecosystem of progress and commitment. This expansion will encourage student engagement as we matriculate to influence campus spaces that we as students envision for the next generation. Thank you once again for listening in on our presentation. I am Joy Walton.
I am Mark Gray.
And I am Eli Smith.
Thank you all.
Fantastic job, all of you.
If I may, I just want to add a few economics. So these 3 students represent a group of about 8 students. And with an initial investment of about $175,000, we created a space for students. So a lot of what happens is because these students have a space in the operations building that they can spend an unlimited amount of time ideating, inviting other students in, and realizing their projects. So one of the things that we hope is that other departments will look at ways to save and create grants, and Title III has been a big supporter of this, to create spaces in the department for students to go beyond theory to get into practicum and to allow them to do the self-performance of work. So we do think the return on investment for the 8 students who are painting, who are designing, who are meeting with architects and engineers, who are giving direct feedback, who are doing the student surveys, is the type of creative out-of-the-box thinking that helps TSU move the institution forward with student energy. So I couldn't let it go unsaid that it's a small amount, but every dollar we invest in students gets a 5x return. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I asked the students before they came up what they were going to present on, but they wouldn't tell me, so the surprise was worth the wait. So thank you all so much for preparing that presentation. All right, well, we will move to the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as contained in the materials for the November 21st, 2025 board meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. Thank you. The motion is approved. All right. Now we will move to the meeting minutes. And we have several items in our consent agenda. And those meeting minutes include the June 12th, 2025 Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee meeting minutes, the June 13th, 2025 board meeting minutes, the August 5th, 2025 board meeting minutes, the September 18th, 2025 audit committee meeting minutes, the September 18th, 2025 finance committee meeting minutes, the September 18th, 2025 Student and Academic Affairs Committee meeting minutes, the September 19th, 2025 board meeting minutes, and all of these are included in the November 20th, 2025 board materials. Are there any changes to the minutes? Perfect. Is there a motion for the board to approve the meeting minutes in the consent agenda as contained in the board materials for the November 2025 board meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Is there any discussion? Perfect. Hearing none, the question is on the motion to approve the meeting minutes in the consent agenda as contained in the board materials for the November 20th, 2025 board meeting. All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Perfect. The motion is approved. The next item on the agenda are the committee reports. I will take this a little out of order because we had finance first yesterday, but I'll start with the audit committee meeting minutes. Is that okay? We will first hear from the audit committee, and the chair recognizes the audit committee chair, Trustee Damita Smith Knight, who will provide a report on the audit committee meeting.
Good morning. The audit committee met yesterday to consider and act on one item and receive reports on 3 items. The committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the September 18th meeting minutes, which were just approved by the full board in the consent agenda items. The committee heard a report on the internal and external audit items, results of the internal and external quality assessment and gap assessments, which is a process that's required by the global internal audit standards. And lastly, we heard a report on the outstanding audit issues and the internal audit plan status. The audit committee is fully committed to ensuring the university achieves long-term sustainability and enhanced accountability. Accountability is the foundation of good governance. We recognize the financial health and stewardship of this organization are vital, and we endeavor to restore full confidence in our financial management and operational effectiveness. I want to thank Dr. Forbes Williams for her work in this space, and this concludes the audit committee report.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the finance committee report. The chair recognizes the finance chair, Trustee Charles Trauber, who will provide a report on the Finance Committee meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Finance Committee met yesterday to consider and act on 3 items and receive reports on 1 item. The committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the September 18 Finance Committee meeting minutes, which were approved by the full board, and the consent agenda items. Were they approved by the full board in the consent? Okay, just wanted to make sure. And then the committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of a revised bank reconciliation policy and the fiscal year 26 revised budget. The committee also heard a report on institutional advancement. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve the bank reconciliation policy as contained in the board materials for today's meeting.
Second.
Madam, may I take the votes?
Yes, please.
Great. Chair Winton?
Yes.
Trustee Trauber?
Yes.
Trustee Chapman?
Yes.
Trustee Smith Knight?
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet?
Yes.
Trustee Qualls?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Towns?
Yes.
Trustee Young Sigler?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to approve the fiscal year 26 revised budget as contained in the board materials for today's meeting.
Second.
I will now take the vote. Chair Winton?
Yes.
Trustee Trauber?
Yes.
Trustee Chapman?
Yes.
Trustee Smith Knight?
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet?
Yes.
Trustee Qualls?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Towns?
Yes.
Trustee Young Sigler?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Next, we will hear from the Student and Academic Affairs Committee report. The chair recognizes the Student and Academic Affairs Committee Chair, Trustee Jeffrey Norfleet, who will provide a report on the Student and Academic Affairs Committee meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Student and Academic Affairs Committee met today to receive reports on 3 items, and the committee heard reports from Student Affairs, an enrollment update, and the Office of Academic Affairs reports that included SAC COC 5th year accreditation report status, retention and progression data and activities, graduation rate data and strategic plan, the fall 2025 graduation plan, as well as the college's fall 2025 achievements report. I want to thank those that presented and the faculty and staff that helped to make things great at Tennessee State. And this concludes the Student and Academic Affairs Committee report.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from the Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee report. The chair recognizes the Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee Chair, Trustee Terica Smith, who will provide a report on the Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee meeting.
Thank you, Chair Winton. The Governance and Governmental Affairs Committee met today and received a report on 1 item. The committee voted to recommend to the full board the approval of the June 12th, 2025 meeting minutes, which were approved by the full board today. The committee also heard a legislative update from Leah Love with the Ingram Group. This concludes the Governance and Governmental Affairs report.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the federal funding update. The chair recognizes Dr. Quincy Quick, who will provide a report on this agenda item.
We'll see how this goes. I'm nearsighted, so I'd rather sit down. See. Okay, good. What time is it? I guess it's still good morning or good afternoon, Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, President Tucker, Cabinet, faculty, staff, and students. I'm going to give a really succinct report on the update for federal grants, given all the uncertainty at the federal level over the last 8 months. The information, I think also to preference a bit to the report that you have, you should probably take a look back at the last 2 board meetings. I had a short conversation with Trustee Qualls. Might have been some questions about the numbers, but essentially what happened is the way that the board meetings are set up and the way that we provide the information to General Counsel prior to giving it to you, we provide it early. So, and for the June meeting, we requested to get the the materials in May. That's not the full year academic fiscal year guidance. So what you were getting was a report on the IDC for the most part, but not the fiscal year update for the grants. The report that was provided in September was actually a comparison of total grant awards between fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25. The reason I did that is to kind of give me, really, and then you, an idea about exactly where we were in this environment. Okay, now we're in the fiscal year 26. You're going to see a comparison, and that'll probably be on the first slide, between fiscal year 25 last year at this time and fiscal year 26 that we are right now. So I just wanted to give some context to that because there's no need. Listen, I stand by my numbers, and I appreciate the conversation with Trustee Quarles as fellow scientists. This is what we do: debate, criticize, critique. So that's all a part of the part for the course, so to speak. I think President Tucker and Trustee Trevor are golfers. I am not, however. So, you know, please, I'm transparent. I don't mind being questioned, so please ask. And most of you are lawyers. I think that's all a part of your professions as well. So, okay, I think I'll start from there. Okay, so if you look here on slide 1, which you can see is a comparison year-to-date, year-over-year comparison from fiscal year 25 to 26, you can go to that far right, the far 2 right columns. You can see that, I mean, it's not good, and it's not expected to be good, particularly given everything that's gone now. You can see we have reduced total number of awards. The IDC cost requests in those grants that we actually bring in actually have a 57% reduction sort of year-over-year. And the total number of awards are actually down by 40%. I think if I'm gonna get any encouragement, and I am encouraged, it's actually that if we're looking at that last row with the number of submissions, you know, we didn't really have a huge drop-off, only about a 14, 15% reduction from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26. So I'm encouraged by that. Our faculty and staff are working really, really hard. They're still committed. I'm still providing support for them out of my office. I have an open door policy. I don't require people to make a meeting, schedule a meeting with me. If I'm free, I'll talk with you. So I'm very excited about the fact that our faculty, staff, and students are still submitting, because if you don't submit, you can't get funded. Okay, so with that. I provided this slide here just to kind of give you an indication that with the shutdown, we did still receive 16 grant awards during the shutdown. And so the federal government was still providing awards and then not make awards because of the shutdown. So I wanted to provide some context with that. I think here with these next couple of slides, I'll provide some context to that as well. I pulled data from where I can get it from, and it's not institutional data, so all this stuff is coming from the federal government. My source to find data for what was going on as it relates to R&D funding and the requests coming out of the White House versus what was being requested in Congress were really 2 places, congress.gov and AAAS, or the American Association for the Advancement of Science. So my approach was really to verify the data in both of those places as much as possible. And for the most part, they were verified. But the data and the information has been moving really, really quickly. And so what has happened here, probably the last half of this presentation won't be valid after having a really quick conversation here with Dr. Reddy as well as with, you know, Trustee Quarles. But I think it's still worth going through just because the information has been out there and to give everybody the idea about exactly as an institution, really as a country, and then as an institution where we were as it relates to grants. It just has not been the United States' finest hour in the research ecosystem in the last 8 months. Tariffs, research, shutdowns, I mean, we're all in the same boat here, so it just hasn't been great. But you can see there that the R&D funding requests from the White House and Congress were really wide apart. So the initial reports is that the White House basically wanted to decimate the budget. But I think what that really was, and I think everybody else in the research space was in agreement, was essentially a negotiating starting point. So you don't have to give me all of it. I'm gonna ask for the moon, and if you just give me a little bit of what I'm asking for, I'll still be able to meet my agenda. So they started off with a request, the White House at 42%. The House essentially had a request in for a reduction of 13%. And as specifically to us, because we're an 1890 USDA institution, the House had a recommendation of a 7.2% decrease, whereas the House and Senate were completely on 2 opposite sides of that, whereas the House was requesting a 1.1% reduction, and the Senate was actually requesting a 2.1% increase relative or comparative to what the White House was asking. And now, we're really in a real different space now, given that, the government is open, the shutdown is over, the bill has been passed. So if you're looking at the column on the left, what you'll see is NIFA, and you'll also see the 1890 Research HBCU Capacity Program. That HBCU capacity program is housed in NIFA. And so they have all these line items, et cetera. And so the request out of the White House initially, and again, coming from AAAS, the request was 37.5%. The House was requesting a reduction of 1.5%. In contrast, the Senate was requesting an increase of 1.3%. So you can see the variation across the board and why researchers and certainly folks in my role here at TSU and across the whole ecosystem, everybody's just walking around with their hands in the air. Nobody knows what's going on because this is the kind of information that was coming out. NSF, same deal. NIH, same thing. And if you're looking at NIH, which is a really big one, the White House was requesting a 40% reduction. House and Senate were actually requesting increases. So that's kind of what the issue was, in part, what the issue was last 8 months. It's just them trying to go through all these negotiations and find out where they land. Okay, so that's kind of, the part of that. Now, where are we? I'm not going to go through all those bullet points. I think everybody knows now that the government is open, bill has been passed, and the agriculture budget has been set. What has not been set is there's not been any sort of final comprehensive R&D budget hasn't been approved for fiscal year 26. So the NIHs, NSFs of the world, those have not been finally approved, at least as of 9 o'clock this morning when I came in here, but maybe something has changed then, I'm not sure. The one thing that has happened is there's a CR continuing resolution with all those funded other agencies, which is a good thing. I guess people know that they can continue to get that funding at least until the end of January of 2026. So we'll be back at that again at the end of January. Now, this is where, for me, it kind of starts changing a bit because, like I said, my reference point for getting this data was from Congress.gov and AAAS, so that's where I pulled from. But I think overall what has happened with the new passage of the bill is that, the funding is essentially the same. So it didn't get decimated per the request. Then there was some additional funding. I have to go back and validate that. But, upon my review, there was also some additional funding of $360 million. That's really important to us because $60 million of the $360 million goes to 1890 institution scholarships, which we are an 1890 institution, so that actually bodes well for us. I think the biggest concern really for me, and I think this institution, is really that 1890 Research HBCU Capacity Program, which falls under NIFA. Now, when all of this started and me doing my due diligence, one of the things that was actually consistent, and I think I'll also reference that 1890, is the Evans Allen capacity funds that we get here. So that's what that is. When we initially started off, the change in fiscal year 25 and 26 requests is actually a $111 million reduction. That's a killer in terms of funding. And this will not apply at this particular point, again, after having a really quick conversation with Dean Reddy and as well as Trustee Qualls. But again, the information that was out there on AAAS as of yesterday was that there was no information. There was a final budget, but that figure and that percentage change was still there. So what I'll say is that, and like I said, from those conversations, that looks like that Evans Allen's funding won't get that huge reduction. It'll basically be leveled off as it was previously. So that's a good thing. The other thing, though, that actually is worth mentioning, we don't capture indirect costs from the Evans Allen's grant. So that's really a capabilities and capacity grant for the institution. But at least we'll be able to continue on. Dr. Reddy, his team, the faculty, staff, students over there will still be able to get those funds and access to those funds, continue to grow the research capacity in college and at the institution in that regard. I will give an update here as it relates to indirect costs because that was a huge source of contention coming out of the federal government. They wanted to cap it at 15%. But what was happening is, it's kind of that story would come out, hey, we're going to cap it at 15%. But then there were all these court injunctions that were being put in place right after that. They were saying, no, you can't do that. So we never really went to 15%. Occasionally you would have agencies come back, and it was really disjointed across. One agency said, okay, go ahead, we'll give you the full rate. You're a full rate. Others come back and say, no, you're not going to get the full rate. You can get 8% or 10%. So what's happening now is essentially what they're saying is that after the passing of the bill is that the indirect cost rates as they are will keep them in place. What actually is changing is, or the approach here right now is the Joint Associations Group. And this would be your APLUs of the world, your American Council on Education's, your Association of American Universities that represent colleges and universities around the country. They're actually proposing something called a FAIR model, and that's essentially the financial accountability and research model, to replace the current indirect cost model. So, and what that's basically saying is that we won't necessarily be able to go and ask for 42% for F&A costs. That this model will replace that. And essentially, if I had to put it in layman's terms and the way that the literature was being disseminated that this group put out, it's like the larger institutions will have a better shot at itemizing their costs because they have larger enterprises, whereas the smaller emerging institutions like ourselves, we file a 1040EZ form. Now, none of this is final. These are discussions, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to get ahead of the federal government in a way that at least let us, both sides, meet halfway. So that's what we are. But again, this is not, no final word has been come out of Washington on this. I was at another meeting for a board I sit on, and they have a really strong government relations team. I pressed them on this in terms of any knowledge that they had on it coming to Washington, D.C. didn't seem to have anything. So looks like currently the old model is in place, at least for now. But I do know we should all be familiar that that old model is not likely to survive or sustain. I don't want to put any timelines on it because I don't know, but it's not likely to be sustainable in the near future. So that's where we are with that. Again, I'm not going to go through this because I just explained all of that as it relates to the FAIR model. I mean, these are just some criteria. I want to give people time if you're going to put it in place for us to adjust to it. But essentially, that's what we're looking at. What we should be paying attention to, not you, me, that's my job, is what are the approaches that are being taken to mitigate all these things? So a variety of different approaches that are being taken. We really need to increase our industry collaborations and partnerships in terms of contracts and meeting their R&D needs. There's always funding there. We need to move more to translation and applied research. That's where the administration is. They're also into commercialization. So we do some of it. We don't do a lot of it. These are the things require a different shift in mind and skill sets. But if we move in that direction, we're aligned with what Washington, D.C. wants to do, and the state of Tennessee. And to that end, we're already partners with the Nashville Innovation Alliance, who has a huge initiative going now in the city of Nashville, along with the Vanderbilt's chancellor who are leading that. But we're at the table. I go to those meetings. They know Tennessee State is present, so we're right there to take advantage of all the opportunities that come out of there. The other one would be things like the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development have actually committed about $63 million to programs like the IRIS program and the REV program. Those programs do exactly what I'm actually have put in sort of bullet one without the bullet, which is they're requiring academic research institutions to partner with industry. And so we're right in line to be able to do that. Stuart McWater, who's the commissioner for ECD, was here on Tennessee State's campus. Really good engagement. Number of faculty and staff from engineering and agriculture were there, so I thought that engagement was good. Also made an e-introduction to President Tucker, which was a very collegial interaction. So I think we're well positioned to be able to shift to meet the new federal priorities that are coming out and missions of the federal government, and then also move ourselves into a different space in terms of translation and applying the research, not just doing basic science. So I think we're well positioned to do all of that. And I think, I think that's that. So thank you very much. If there are any questions, I'll entertain them. Hearing none, I guess. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your report. The last item on the agenda today is the President's report. The chair will recognize President Tucker, who will provide a report on this agenda item. He will include some comments about our last meeting wherein we requested for President Tucker to give us some information as to how we complete the Memorandum of Understanding and the Advisory Committee. So I will turn it over to President Tucker. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we can go to the next slide. I just want to provide a few updates since our last meeting with the board. One of the things I want to highlight that we're now seeing progress in academic success as it relates to retention, progression, and graduation rates. I won't go into a lot of detail about that because I know that Dr. Melton presented that earlier today. I do want to highlight the benefit of the purge that was the first time in 6+ years for Tennessee State University. It's greatly reduced our ongoing AR and collections risks while also improving the strength and stability of our cash flow. So in addition to the cash that we're receiving for the MOU that was put in place with the state, we're also achieving in terms of more effective cash flow to allow us to run our business more effectively. One of the outcomes of the MOU that was agreed to with the legislative group, that funding has allowed us to invest in resources that can help us continue to our sustainability at Tennessee State University. We have announced the new VP of Enrollment Management. We're making a huge investment in that area with the actual funding that we have, because in order for TSU to continue to move forward, we need to, in my vision, knock down those huge deficits that we have in our 5-year plan. And the best way to do that is to grow revenue and reduce costs. By having a VP in charge of enrollment helps us achieve part of that revenue opportunity. We also added a VP of Human Resources who started in October, a VP for Institutional Advancements. We're going to have to announce a fundraising opportunity for the university soon. This gives us a foundation to run that fundraising event. We also hired a director of fundraising, started in early September as well. I'm pleased to announce that for the first time since I've served either as the interim president and now the current president, we've been operating without a CFO or a controller. Now, I'm pleased to announce that we're filling both of those jobs. The controller started on November the 10th. The chief financial officer will start on January 1st of 2026. Both of those resources have very outstanding backgrounds, both for CPAs, and we're looking forward to have a full, complete financial and accounting organization by the first of the year. We also implemented additional items to drive financial sustainability, and part of that is shared sacrifice across the entire university. One of those challenging decisions we had to make was to not provide annual salary increases for the 25-26 year. We also made strategic investments into recruiting and enrollment, as I talked about a few minutes ago. And in that same edition of shared sacrifice, we paused tenure promotion decisions to ensure staffing is supported by enrollment. In addition to that, we designed a new merit scholarship structure that Eric talked about earlier today to drive enrollment growth while maintaining healthy net revenue. Next slide. Oh, I forgot about the most important thing to talk about, and that's TSU homecoming. As we work to reimagine things at Tennessee State University, homecoming was a great example of that. I still hear great comments about homecoming. We plan to raise the bar on that one for next year. But the benefit from that on the revenue side was that we were able to bring all of those individuals who sell our merchandise on campus. And now that became a revenue enhancement for the university, because in the past, they just simply sold our merchandise without sharing anything reasonable to the university. So that was a big pickup. But more importantly, it gave us a great opportunity to showcase students and events that also benefited the credibility of the university. And the other thing that I heard mostly from alumni, who are sometimes our biggest critics, is what didn't happen at homecoming. And that is, typically in the past, we always had some issues that drove negative perceptions about Tennessee State University, either at the game or in the parade, but none of those things happened this year. So thanks to the homecoming committee led by Jerome, he's now trending on X and all social media platforms as a result of that. The next opportunity for us to reimagine is this December graduation. We're going to put students more at front of speaking at those events, and we're also going to have 3 versions so we can accommodate the needs of family members to get into the Gentry Auditorium. Alumni Giving is the next opportunity to reimagine. TSU follows a lot of historically black colleges in the sense that we go with a membership approach where you each year revise that. We need to go something that's more beneficial to the university. And with that, we're going to reimagine alumni giving at Tennessee State with a goal to have that completed by June of next year. Next slide, please. On the same conversation of shared sacrifice, everybody's worked together at Tennessee State to improve our financial sustainability. And as a result of that, we exceeded our deficit goal in full year 25. We finished 13.2 million better than forecasted in our original pro forma. We also are forecasting to exceed our deficit goal in full year 26 after adjusting for non-recurring revenues and expenses. Reduced spending year over year on both personnel and non-personnel items with plans to further reduce recurring costs by full year end. If we continue making these type of goals and performance, it should continue to allow us to stay on track to knock down some of these larger deficits that are projected for the next 2 years, which, if not addressed at all and nothing ever changes, we would use about 60 million of the 96 million that's contemplated in the MOU. So that goal to continue and the shared sacrifice, if we continue to grow revenue, reduce expenses, we have an opportunity to make a big difference in our cash flows going forward. And more importantly, getting to a positive bottom line instead of 5 years and 3 years. That would be my goal. Progress toward August finding resolution. Full year, I think if we go back in time a little bit, the challenge a year ago, I was trying to wrap up the 23 4-year audit. We're pleased to announce that the full year 24 audit is now done, several months ahead of the prior year's timelines. We also onboarded full TBR team that really got probably 100% staffed around September, the end of September. And they have provided support mainly in closing out the requests and the items needed to close out those audits. We also, as I mentioned earlier, have hired qualified both controller who has a strong background in audits. So we're feeling very comfortable now as we exit this year and go into next year that we have a very effective finance and accounting organization. THAC and SIG, I think we talked about last meeting with the work that they were doing across the entire university to help do some transformational change for the university. So much that it's impacting the audio in the current room. We're going to have to reimagine that too. But we continue to make steps in improving financial aid. And we're also excited about closing out this year very strong. Next slide, which I think this concludes my remarks. Thank you very much. Oh, you gave me a homework assignment, and I didn't do it. You looked at me. Going back to the MOU. The MOU that we signed with the state had a requirement that we take a look at our space utilization as well as our real property, and then come back and make a recommendation. As a board, at our last meeting, we challenged or selected or voluntold Dwayne as the president to put together an advisory board to take a look and meet those requirements under the space utilization plan and the real property assessment. So as I was looking at and doing due diligence on starting an advisory group to help provide support to the board about how to achieve these items, it became clear to me that there was an organization out there by the name of Hyatt Brown, who I spoke to, who has all of the capabilities from engineering to valuations to working with other universities around how to better monetize their assets. Having all that together in one organization and meeting the talent that they have currently in place, it made a lot of sense to work with them to achieve the deadline that we need to present our plan as part of the MOU to the state before or after no later than December the 1st. We have talked to the state about that. They have set a date of December the 4th for TSU to present our utilization plan and our real property assessment.
Thank you. That is a helpful update in all of those agenda items. I know that you all have been working extremely hard in doing a lot of things, not just homecoming, but the actual service to the students of the university and ensuring they have a top-tier education. So if there are not any additional, if there's no additional business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Secretary Brown, please call the roll.
Chair Winton,
Yes.
Trustee Trevor,
Yes.
Trustee Chapman,
Yes.
Trustee Smith Knight,
Yes.
Trustee Norfleet,
Yes.
Trustee Qualls,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Trustee Towns,
Yes.
Trustee Young Sigler.
Yes.
All right, we have it.
The motion is approved. The time is 12:25 p.m. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I got one other thing. My bad. I was, before y'all all leave.
Please don't cut the live feed yet.
Yes, please don't cut the live feed yet. I just had to share this because it brought me so much joy, and I'm hoping that it brings y'all a lot of joy too. So thank you, Artenzia, and please, happy holidays, everybody, and look forward to seeing you all in 2026.
Presents of us are here. We're gonna feel with cheer together. This Christmas, and as we trim the tree, how much fun it's gonna be together. This Christmas, the fireside is blazing bright. We're caroling through the night, and this Christmas will be a very special Christmas for me. Yeah.
Messy. That is forever in the record. I love it.
You got some good moves.
A fantastic voice. So we are full of talents over here at Tennessee State University. So thank you, Dr. Young Siegler, for indulging us and providing us all of your talents today. So thank y'all. Have a good one.